Cabo the Great stood tall, but inside, his heart raced. Not from fear he had faced war and death, but from something far more intimate: hope. This was supposed to be a union for legacy, a commitment made to strengthen the hunter's bloodline, a strategic alliance. But as he stood at the front of the sacred hall surrounded by hunters and huntresses, Cabo realized this meant more for them as well. He wanted this. Titus stood opposite him, hands clasped, waiting for the bride. Cabo's breath caught in his throat when the great doors opened. And there she was, Naomi. She stepped into the hall like a whisper of grace, dressed in the ceremonial robes of a huntress bride, woven silver threads glinting like moonlight across her skin. She walked slowly toward him, her head held high. Every step carried the weight of her power, her elegance, her fire. And yet, the way she looked at him, soft and steady, made his knees weaken. Cabo couldn't take his eyes off her. The music, played by horns and drums carved from bone and tree, rose gently in the background. Naomi stopped before him. She smiled, just barely, but it was enough to make the world blur around her. She was stunning. She was his. Titus stepped forward, raising his hand. The drums silenced. The air held its breath. You are watching the Tales of the Savannah. Subscribe and be part of the tribe. Now let's get back to the story. This union is not for flesh alone, Titus began. It is a covenant of blood and purpose, between two who do not only choose each other, but who choose a future. He looked at Cabo, then Naomi. You have seen battle, you have seen death, but today you vow to stand in life, to build, not just fight, to heal, not just hunt, to love, not just lead. He raised a blade, not for war, but a ceremonial dagger made of starstone. Cabo, do you stand here freely and take Naomi, not as a tool, not as a prize, but as your partner, your equal, your flame beside you in the dark? Cabo's voice was strong. I do. Titus turned to Naomi. Naomi, do you take Cabo, not as your shadow, not as your shield, but as your anchor, your fire, your storm when you need him? Naomi's eyes never left Cabo's. I do. Titus handed them each a ribbon of cloth, dyed with the ashes of fallen hunters, the symbol of memory. Bind your hands together, he instructed. They did. Cabo's large hand folded around hers gently, reverently. Speak the vow, Titus said. Together, Cabo and Naomi spoke, their voices like two streams joining into one. As long as the flame burns and the hunt calls, I will walk beside you, not behind, not ahead, but beside. I will not let go. Even when the night falls, you are mine, I am yours. And together, we rise. Titus nodded. Then by the blood of the hunters, the breath of the ancestors, and the blessing of the goddess, we seal this union. Titus untied the cloth slowly, let it fall between them, and then Cabo took her face in his hands. The moment was still, tender, full of unsaid things. Then he kissed her, soft and deep, like a promise whispered through the soul. When he pulled back, his lips barely grazed hers. He leaned in again and whispered, just for her, I can't wait to be alone with you. Naomi's cheeks warmed, her eyes dancing with a heat that matched his. The hall erupted in cheers. But for Cabo and Naomi, the world had narrowed to only the two of them. Tonight, the hunt could wait. Tonight, they were one. That night, the moon hung high and full. The hunters' celebration had not lost its fire, laughter and drums echoing in the great hall. But just before midnight, Titus rose and clapped his hands, announcing with a broad grin, the bride and groom shall now retire to their quarters. Cheers rang out across the room, laughter, teasing, claps on the back. Naomi blushed, and Cabo gave a small, knowing smile as they slipped away through the corridor. The room prepared for them was larger than most, still bearing the carved stonework of the Snake People's former palace. Repairs had been ongoing for weeks, but tonight it stood ready, candles lit, soft fabrics draped, the bed wide and newly laid. A space not of war or duty, but of intimacy. Naomi turned to Cabo at the threshold, her voice a gentle murmur. I need to freshen up. Cabo simply nodded, his eyes warm. "Take your time." She disappeared behind the curtain. Her heart thudded wildly in her chest. She looked at herself in the mirror, adjusting the silk robe over her slip dress, the soft sheen catching the candlelight. Her hands trembled. Naomi took a deep breath, then another, and finally, she stepped out. Cabo was waiting, sitting calmly at the edge of the bed, his eyes already on her the moment the curtain moved. He didn't smile, he didn't blink. He stared, her breath caught in her throat under the weight of his gaze. "Take it off," he said, his voice low. "Steady." Naomi blinked, unsure she had heard him. "What?" "Take it off," he repeated, his voice dark silk. "I want to see you, all of you, right there, where you stand." The robe suddenly felt heavier than armor, but something in his eyes, not just hunger, but reverence, gave her courage. Slowly, she reached for the tie at her waist. The robe slipped open, gliding down her arms, whispering to the floor. Cabo's eyes never left her. She slid the straps of the dress off her shoulders, the silk falling in soft folds to reveal bare skin kissed with candlelight. When she stood fully before him, exposed and breathless, he said one word. "Perfect." He reached a hand out, palm open. "Now come to me." Slowly. Naomi stepped toward him, one foot in front of the other. With every step, her nerves faded. By the time she reached the bed, Cabo pulled her gently onto his lap, their skin warming against each other, and kissed her shoulder, then her collarbone, then her lips. They took their time. There was no rush, no firestorm of urgency. Cabo had imagined this night for so long, and now that it was here, he wanted to savor it. Every curve, every sound, every whispered breath. And Naomi bloomed beneath his touch. Their bodies met like waves to shore. Again and again, they explored and embraced until the world outside their chamber disappeared. It was a night of softness, of sighs and silent promises spoken through touch. When at last they lay tangled in each other, breath shallow and bodies humming, Naomi leaned in, pressing her lips to Cabo's ear. "I love you," she whispered, tears glistening in her eyes. "I love you, Cabo." Cabo turned his head slowly, meeting her gaze in the candlelight. He had dreamed of saying it, but to hear it first, from her lips, it undid him. "I love you too, Naomi," he said, his voice barely a breath. He held her then, closer than ever before. Their lips met in a kiss not born from passion but from truth, and with it, the union was sealed, not just in body, but in soul. Zoro had seen one of the hunters from Sia's group exiting Cabo's office, his face calm. That was all the confirmation he needed. Cabo was alone. This was his chance. He walked up and knocked twice. "Come in," came Cabo's steady voice from within. Zoro pushed the door open and stepped inside. Cabo looked up and nodded. "Zoro, I was wondering when you'd come." Zoro gave a faint smile. "You know me. I don't like to waste time when something is heavy on my chest." "Sit," Cabo said, gesturing to the chair in front of him. Zoro sat down, eyes serious. "I'm here about Kudu," he said plainly. "We've lost a brother, and I'm sorry about it." Cabo leaned back, folding his arms across his chest. "Yes, it hit us hard, and when Sia came to me after the incident, I sensed there was hesitancy in him." Zoro didn't flinch, but his breath caught slightly. "But I've spoken to most of the hunters," Cabo continued, "and they all say the same thing. There was a heavy snake scent in the air. About 10, maybe more, had crossed. The dagger that was used to kill Kudu, it was a snake people dagger." He reached into a drawer and placed it on the table. "Here it is." Zoro stared at the weapon. It looked foreign. "No sign of struggle on Kudu," Cabo added. "That part doesn't sit well with me. He was a fighter, a good one. He wouldn't go down without resistance." Zoro said nothing. "I'm down to one person left to speak to," Cabo said, his eyes narrowing. "Tendai. Once I hear from him, we can close off this chapter. Everyone else seems to agree on what happened out there." Zoro nodded slowly, but inside, his stomach twisted. Tendai was not built to carry lies, not yet. He wore the truth on his face like a mark. One look, and everything could come crumbling down. He tried to keep his tone casual. Tendai is taking it hard. The loss of Kudu, it shook him. Maybe it's best to give him a little more time before speaking to him. Cabo's sharp eyes flicked to him. Zoro leaned forward in his chair, hands clasped together as he spoke, voice low but earnest. Can I ask, as a favor to me, old friend, that you leave Tendai out of this? He's been through too much. Seeing Kudu on the ground, lifeless, that doesn't leave a young man easily, it haunts him. Cabo didn't respond. He just watched Zoro, listening. Have you talked to Malaika? No, Cabo said. Zoro nodded slowly. The brothers say she came only after the incident. You see, even without knowing it, you are protecting her too, from reliving this, from being dragged into it. Help me protect my grandson. He's young, he's broken. And this inquiry, it will only send him spiraling. He leaned forward, locking eyes with Cabo. Please, he said, do it for me, old friend. Cabo sat back in his chair, folding his arms. He didn't speak for a moment. There was no evidence of foul play. The hunters had all agreed on the story. There was no contradiction. And yet, something gnawed at him. That sense, something just didn't sit right. He opened his mouth to respond when a sharp knock came at the door. He frowned. Come back later, he called, annoyed. But the door creaked open anyway. Zarya. She stood in the doorway, her face pale, her chest heaving. Her eyes immediately found Zoro and then shifted to Cabo. I'll excuse myself, Zoro said, already beginning to stand. No, Zarya said quickly. It's good that you're here. Zoro paused, sitting back down slowly. He didn't know why, but the way she looked at him, he sensed this was about more than just news. It was personal. What is it, darling? Cabo asked, rising to his feet. Is Malaika okay? Has something happened to the children? Zarya took a breath, then said it plainly. Malaika. She's pregnant. The air shifted. Cabo blinked. Pregnant. Zarya nodded. By Tendai. The silence that followed was deafening. Zoro's body stiffened. His face went blank. He turned to Zarya slowly, stunned. What? He breathed. Cabo's eyes flared. And where is Tendai now? He's fled, Zarya answered, her voice soft. Back into the forest. Cabo's hands curled into fists. He has fled responsibility, he growled, spinning toward Zoro. Did you know about this? Zoro shook his head, eyes wide. I didn't even know they were together. Cabo's stare burned into him. Then he looked at Zarya again. Go to Malaika. I'll deal with this. Zarya gave one last glance at Zoro, then closed the door behind her. Cabo turned back to Zoro, his voice cold. Your goat has been in my garden, and now it has fled. Zoro winced. I trusted Sia, Cabo snapped. I trusted your son to protect Malaika. And now this? Your family has brought shame to my door. Zoro was speechless. His mouth opened, but no words came. Then finally, I will fix this, Cabo. I promise you. I will personally find him and bring him back. He has to make this right. Cabo's voice dropped to a whisper, but it cut like a blade. Make sure of it. Zoro stood. I'll take his father. Sia. He couldn't have gone far. Give me a week, and we'll sort this out. Cabo nodded once, reluctantly. Zoro didn't wait. He turned and left the room, his heartbeat thudding in his ears. He had to find Sia. They needed to be back out there before this spiraled any further. And deep in his gut, he knew where Tendai had gone. They had to reach him before it was too late. The next morning, the village buzzed with quiet urgency. The snake people were preparing another mission to find those like them, to find more who carried the serpent, just as Palesa had done. Now her own son was going. She hadn't slept, not truly. She had sat the entire night by the fire, staring into it as if it might hold the words to stop him. But nothing came. She found him near the edge of the village, tightening the straps on his pack. "Vusi, you ready to go?" she asked, trying to sound steady. He turned, face calm but resolved. "Yes, I am, Mother." She took a step forward. "Please, don't go." Vusi stopped, blinking, but his hands didn't drop from the strap. "Mother, please, Vusi. You don't have to do this." "But I want to," he said gently. "You showed us a different way. We had no hope before you brought light. You helped us believe in something. Let me do the same. Don't discourage me, please." Her voice cracked. "You don't understand. I had help. I was guided. I was never alone." Vusi nodded, voice soft but firm. "Then the goddess will guide us too." "Vusi..." "No, Mother. You don't understand either." He looked away. His voice was quieter now. "When Father left, how do you think I felt?" Palesa closed her eyes. "He was gone. You cried. You moved on. You told me we had to be strong. But you never told me how. Vusi, I'm not just going out there because I want to prove myself," he said, eyes shining. "I want to find him. Maybe he's still out there. Maybe he doesn't even know how to come back after what happened between you. He made his choice. And I'm making mine. Please, just let me see his face. That's all I ask. I need to know. I need to try." Her heart shattered. "I don't want to lose you," she whispered, voice barely audible. "I've already lost one son." She thought in her mind but could not dare say it. Vusi came forward and took her hands. "You won't lose me," he said, eyes locked to hers. "Not really. I carry you with me always, in my heart." She couldn't speak. She could only nod because words would betray her. Tears slipped down her cheeks. And Vusi. Vusi, the boy who had brought her joy when she thought she'd never laugh again, held her close. "Then may the goddess walk with you," she whispered through her tears, "and bring you back home." They embraced, one heart torn to pieces, the other stepping into destiny. Django stood at the edge of the corridor, his hands clenched behind his back. Nala stood beside him, fidgeting with the hem of her sleeve. Her eyes kept scanning the doors, waiting, hoping to see them. It had been too long. They were only supposed to be gone 2 or 3 days. A simple delegation, to convey a simple message, but it had been a full week. "They're here," Nala whispered, pointing. Django looked up. 3 figures were walking toward them, Nandi, Diallo, and Samuel. His heart jumped in his chest the moment he saw her. Nandi, the love of his life, his wife. She looked tired but beautiful, alive. He moved before he could stop himself, crossing the distance quickly, pulling her into his arms. "I missed you so much," he whispered, his voice cracking with emotion. "I missed you too," Nandi said softly, her arms wrapping tightly around him. For a second, it was just the two of them, holding each other like they'd been lost at sea. "I also want a hug, Father," Nala said from the side, smiling. Django laughed and gently let Nandi go. "Yes, of course." Nandi turned and opened her arms. Nala embraced her. "It's good to see you, Nala," Nandi said, her voice catching. "It's good to see you too, Mother." Django turned to Diallo and shook his hand. "How was the trip?" "It was good," Diallo said with a small nod. Django greeted Samuel next, clapping his shoulder. "Good to see you, son." "It's good to be back, sir," Samuel replied, managing a tired smile. But something felt off. Django couldn't place it. Maybe it was just the exhaustion in their eyes, or the way they avoided looking at each other for too long. Or maybe it was that smell, that faint, sharp scent that always followed after being near the snake people. Whatever it was, Django decided he'd ask Nandi later. For now, they would rest. Nandi walked into their quarters and headed straight for the bathroom. She was already peeling off her outer clothing, ready to wash the trip away, ready to scrub off the memory of what had happened in the forest. Django stepped into the room behind her. "How was it, darling?" Nandi paused, then answered quickly. "It was interesting." Her voice was even, 2 even. Did anything happen? Like what? She asked, not turning around. I don't know, Django said, watching her. Anything. Nandi's chest tightened. She didn't want to talk about the forest. Not now, not the rituals, not the moment she changed, not the feeling of her skin sliding away, of her bones shifting, the hiss that escaped her lips, the power, the rage, their ancestor Tendai, who was still vivid in her mind. No, she wasn't ready to say any of it out loud. She hadn't even said it to herself. She needed to change the subject, anything to get away from it. I have something to tell you, Django, she said, turning to face him. He stepped closer, concern flashing across his face. What is it? I'm pregnant. His eyes lit up immediately, but before he could speak, she added, It's twins. A boy and a girl. Django froze. His breath caught. The room fell silent. He looked down, then slowly looked back up at her, eyes shining with something deep, something sacred. This is a blessing, he said quietly, his voice shaking. A blessing from the goddess. He placed his hand over hers, over the small life that had begun inside her. We shall call the boy Musa, for the goddess has blessed me and given me back my brother. There were tears in his eyes now. He didn't try to hide them. His voice broke slightly. Thank you, goddess, he whispered, wrapping his arms around Nandi. Thank you, my love. Nandi smiled, but her eyes were glassy. She wanted to cry, not from happiness, from the secret that sat like a stone in her chest. She couldn't tell him that the children growing inside her, one of them had been promised to the guardian, promised under blood and vow. But she couldn't say that now, she wouldn't. She'd let him have this moment, let him be happy. She would carry this burden, carry the truth, until the day came when she could no longer hide it. For now she smiled and leaned into his embrace, and in the quiet of their quarters, she let herself feel something close to peace, even if it was only for a moment. And that, dear tribe, brings us to the end of another gripping chapter in the Snake People versus Hunters saga. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. This week's episode opened with a moment of joy, Cabo the Great, and Naomi tied the knot in the very first Hunter wedding. The celebration was grand, the union sealed, and through it all they discovered something profound. They truly loved each other. Elsewhere, Cabo continues to unravel the mystery of his brother Kudu's death. Though the testimony and evidence point to a simpler truth, something in Cabo's gut tells him there's more. He wants to hear it from Tendai himself. Zoro pleads for leniency on Tendai's behalf, but just as Cabo is about to deliver his judgment, Zarya bursts in with shocking news. Malika is pregnant, and Tendai is the father. Cabo is not pleased. Zoro vows to track Tendai down. He believes he knows where he's headed. Could Tendai be journeying to Snake Island to find his mother? Meanwhile, on Snake Island, Palesa wrestles with a mother's dilemma. Her son is leaving. She finds out he's going to search for his father, and that she cannot stop. Far away in time, the diplomatic party sent to the Snake People has arrived. Django is overjoyed to reunite with Nandi, but Nandi is still haunted by what she witnessed in the snake forest. She tells Django about her pregnancy, twins, but leaves out one crucial truth. One child is promised to the guardian. For now, peace holds, but secrets never stay buried forever. Until next time, tribe, stay wild, stay curious, and stay ready for what's to come. A heartfelt welcome to Juan Frazier for joining the tribe. I truly appreciate you taking your place at the inner table. Your support means the world, and I'm grateful you've chosen to be part of this journey. Thank you for choosing to be part of the Savannah. A few days ago, Tales of the Savannah quietly turned 2. 2 years of storytelling, 2 years of laughter, heartbreak, mystery, and magic. 2 years of you, this beautiful tribe that has gathered around every tale. I just want to pause and say thank you. Truly, thank you for being here, for listening, for sharing, for believing in these stories as much as I do. Every comment, every view, every message of encouragement, it means more than words can ever say. I carry this community in my heart, and I don't take a single soul for granted. May the gods you honor watch over you, and bless you in ways you can feel deep in your bones. Here's to 2 years of tales of the savannah, and to the countless stories still waiting to be told. I hope you'll be with me for every single one. Want to support the channel and become an even bigger part of our tribe? You can join for as little as the cost of a coffee each month. Your support helps me continue creating the content you love, but of course, just having you here is already more than enough. Thank you for being part of this journey. A warm and heartfelt thank you to all the amazing tribe members who have chosen to join and support this incredible journey. Your belief in this channel means the world to me, and I'm so glad to have you along for the ride. And as always, thank you for watching our story, and we hope you enjoyed it. What lessons did you draw from this story? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and be part of the tribe. Thank you for watching The Tales of the Savannah. We will see you next time in the Savannah.